Hi, welcome to another interesting edition of the program Her Voice, Her Strength, reaching you out from NTA Channel 12 Uyo. I am Dora Okovasi. It is my pleasure to bring this interesting edition to you, and where we shall be looking at mothering teams. And I have a very dynamic woman in the house who would be doing this with me this evening. Yes, but before then, let's go on a break. And when we return, the program continues. Don't go away. Imagine a world where every woman's voice is heard, every story is told, and she is empowered. Think of a world where women rise above challenges, shattered glass ceilings, and inspire generations. Welcome to Her Voice, Her Strength, where we celebrate the unbreakable spirits of women. Join us as we share stories of resilience, courage, and triumph. Hear from women who are changing the world, one voice at a time. Together we shall amplify conversations that shape our lives and empower each of us to being our best selves. Don't miss Her Voice, Her Strength on NTA Channel 12 Uyo, on Facebook and on YouTube every Saturday by 5:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. Join the movement. Amplify her voice. All right, welcome back. I am here with Mrs. Udwak Ekong. Mrs. Udwak Ekong has been the chairperson of Nawoj in Akwa Ibom State. She has been the leader all over in church. She's always everywhere. And at this point, she is currently the CPS, the Chief Press Secretary to Her Excellency Helen Obareke, and she's here to analyze, to take us deeper, the challenges, the successes of raising teens as children. And she's here with me, as you have seen, and she will be doing that. Good evening, madam. Thanks for joining us on the program.
The pleasure is all mine. Good evening. Good evening, viewers.
Okay, thank you so much. Your first time on Her Voice, Her Strength. How do you feel?
I'm walking into the studio. I'm so excited to see that something big, something huge is happening. And I'm not surprised, because I've always known that you are a go-getter and anything women, you appear to be everywhere as well.
Yes.
So congratulations.
Thank you so much, madam. Thank you so much. All right, let's get started. When we talk about teens, mothering teens, I usually feel mothering is a calling. Mothering is a ministry, so wide and so deep. Although many women just see mothering as anything, is it not just giving birth? Is it not just getting pregnant and after 9 months you give birth to somebody and then it will be a collective effort to raise the person? Yes, in a way it's correct, but it's not totally correct. So when we talk about mothering, let's start from there before we get into teens. What does it really entail?
Okay, so mothering is something very natural to women. We were created to be mothers, and so mothering means taking care of the children that God has blessed you with, and taking care of the children that God has brought your way. Because I've come to realize that my children are not just my biological children, but I have other children that have come to me by way of association. Some come and they stick themselves to you, force themselves on you, and you cannot push them away. So mothering, over the years, have come to realize that when we celebrate Mothering Sunday, when we celebrate Mother's Day, you discover that it's not just the biological children that celebrate their mothers, even the adopted ones, the ones that have adopted you with your own resistance, they're still sticking around. So you discover that you are a mother to many. So for me, mothering means taking care of, nurturing, being able to impact positively in the lives of younger people. That's mothering. So when you look at it from that understanding, you now know that when God gives a gift to parents, He's very careful to let you know through His word that you are not the owner of those gifts. But your job is just to handle them, to nurture them, to groom them, and to ensure that what you get is what they are supposed to be. That the destinies that have been put into your hands are molded in such a way that when the one who has given them to you will ask you to make an account of what you did, you show that you were actually careful to guide them, to show them how they should live their lives, and get them to grow into their destinies.
Okay, Ma, would you say that all women are mothers? Or is this mothering thing like a spiritual thing? Because the way I'm following you, I'm seeing it deeper than just giving birth and maybe someone coming close to you and you choose to adopt someone and maybe help the person in one way or the other. Are all women mothers? Or should all the women be called mothers?
Not all women are mothers. Why do I say so? We have mothers and we have mothers. Having grown up and having come to this point in my life, I've come to realize that some women destroy the lives that are put in their hands. Sometimes by training their children to be bad. You know, you have mothers who will tell their children, don't greet this person, don't, you know, they rewrite the order, they shift the boundaries. And so you discover that a lot of children in the society who are wayward or who have gone through one stress or the other have only been at the receiving end of life, because there's a thin line between what is good and what is bad. So it could go this way or go the other way. So when you have mothers that, you know, some mothers take their children to school and just dump them there. Some mothers think that school is a place that you just go pay school fees, no matter how exorbitant, and dump your child there for the teacher and the owner of the school, and you leave. And so when they come back and those children are half-baked for whatever reason, they turn around to look for who to blame, and they do not blame themselves. So in as much as every woman from childhood is raised to understand the memo, which is in nurturing others, in grooming others, some of them, for whatever it's worth, decide not to. And so at that point, in as much as their mothers, they may have biologically given birth to children or had children thrust on them, what they have done with the ones that were entrusted in their care at the end of the day determines what they're called.
Okay, at this point, I'd like to ask, you are a mother to so many people and personally have admired you from afar and from a close range because of how you carry yourself and how you organize, how you put things. Just mere looking at you, someone will always say this woman is a mother. But just let's assume you didn't have any child. Your own physique just tells you are a mother. You can accommodate, you can nurture, you can teach, you can also tolerate, because that one is a part of it. But at this point, let's delve into your own personal experience. I know that you have many teens around you. Your children have many friends who are teens too, and they come around, and it's like you're always open to receiving a lot, because sometimes even on social media I see people, nearly everybody will call you mama, mama, mama. I don't know how I came calling you mama, just because, not because you have been a president or a chairperson in Nawoch, or I just feel you have that sterling quality of, you know, motherhood. So how do you cope with even your children and if their friends when they come around?
Okay, you made a comment that, let me start from there. Something about spiritual. I know that the spiritual rules the physical, and so sometimes we need to be very intentional and sensitive about, you know, what we believe in. I believe in God, and my belief in God, my conviction in his ability to help us is so strong that most times when my back is against the wall, like people would say, I just know that it's just a phase and it will pass. I've not really done anything different that others haven't done. But my background is such that I grew up seeing my father, involved in our educational activities. My earliest memories, and every Father's Day, even though he's late now, I would always celebrate my father, because my father set a template. And I tell my sons, I have 3 boys, or 4 boys. I have 4 boys and a girl. So I tell my sons that my father's template is what I want them to carry, because my father would go pay our fees. Now that it's holiday, he would pay our fees, and then he would buy our books. He would buy all the exercise books we need, the textbooks, and sit down and label them. If I visit our home and I stumble on any of my books, it's his handwriting, because he's the one that will write our names. He won't write subject, he will just write names on the books, on the exercise books, pay our fees, and just make sure we are ready for school. So before September, we are ready. And so anything that growing up I saw as a positive, I adopted. So in my home, my husband will provide the money. Sure, once school terminates, like in July, he's already asking for the school fees bill for September. So by this time, I would have paid fees, except in schools where they wait to open the portal, maybe a week to the resumption. I would have gotten school fees, and then I would pay. I would get books, and I would also sit down and do what my father used to do.
To label it.
To label the books, because I'm my father's daughter, I got that method and I did that. Then, away from that.
Okay, Mama, please, let me just ask a question right there. I am my father's daughter. Why not your husband's daughter? Because some people say, yes, my children must be like my husband. And now you are married, I think your husband should be your father. Your husband is your boss, your husband. So why do you say carry the memory of your father's house to your husband's house, and you are you are like duplicating to this one? Why not pass the one from your husband, their father, to the children?
Okay, because my husband, even though he's responsive to the needs of the children, he provides the money.
Yeah.
Okay, so when we got married newly, his job made it such that he's hardly around.
Okay.
And so don't forget that when they were growing up to when they became teenagers, he was still at work, sometimes out of Uyo, sometimes not even in Uyo. He has never worked in Uyo. So his work basically would take him out to Port Harcourt, take him to other parts of the state, and so he's not really around. So I'm the one doing the school runs, I'm the one attending PTA meeting, I'm the one doing virtually everything. He provides the money. So I saw a template that my father gave to me, and I picked that template, because I could have been like the women who complain, my husband doesn't do this, my husband doesn't do that. But I understand the fact that if he were around, he would have done those things. But because he wasn't there, I had to bridge the gap and be the father and the mother to the children who would only see him on weekends. Sometimes comes in Friday, leaves very early, they are still asleep on Monday morning because he has to be back in the office and on time. So sometimes we'll come back and already they're in bed. So I had to adopt a template that I knew would work. So what was I doing technically? I was just trying to make my children know that I'm there for them. So they grew up, and I didn't understand the import of what I did, the importance of what I did, or the symbolic meaning that it gave to my children, until one of them wrote something on my birthday and said that whatever he is because of me, that he remembers the sacrifices, the time. My job is very, very demanding, but I would always make time to be there. So what these children see is that they have a mom who takes them to school, picks them up. I remember when I had my daughter and we were living in a wet housing close to their school, I would do my children fresh food for their lunch when it's lunch time. The break time is between 11:30. So if I was giving them jollof rice, or I was giving them rice and stew, or I was doing yam porridge, I would prepare it and make sure it's ready like 15 minutes to the time. so that I could drive to the school and give them. So when they open their flask, they're eating hot food. And so those little things are things that the children don't forget. And so for me, it's a recipe, and that's why I'm sharing it. As many mothers as can wake up early. In those days, I used to cook their food myself. Even if they're taking it from home in the morning as they're going to school, I'm the one to prepare it. They're taking beans, I would cook a day before and complete the process in the morning so that I finish on time and take them to school. So that they are not late and they don't stand outside the gate. I'd rather do would drive 2 times, rush them to school, then come home and prepare and go to work. So those are the little, seemingly little things that you can do for your children, and it's all translates to support and gives them this conviction that they are loved, they are cared for, and they will do everything just to reciprocate that gesture.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Odwa Ekong. It's been a very wonderful discussion, and we are not done yet. Let's just take a short break, and when we return, the program continues. Please don't go away.
Imagine a world where every woman's voice is heard, every story is told, and she is empowered. Think of a world where women rise above challenges, shattered glass ceilings, and inspire generations. Welcome to Her Voice, Her Strength, where we celebrate the unbreakable spirits of women. Join us as we share stories of resilience, courage, and triumph. Hear from women who are changing the world, one voice at a time. Together we shall amplify conversations that shape our lives and empower each of us to being our best selves. Don't miss Her Voice, Her Strength on NTA Channel 12 Uyo, on Facebook and on YouTube every Saturday by 5:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. Join the movement. Amplify her voice.
All right, you're welcome back. This is Her Voice, Her Strength, reaching you from NTA Channel 12 Uyo. And it's still your host, Dora Okobasi. Don't forget, this is an independent program. Your partnership and your sponsorship will be highly rewarded and will be highly appreciated. Please, you can call us on 0703-125-1348. And don't forget, this program is every Saturday, 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. here on NTA Channel 12 Uyo. Okay, Mrs. Udaikon, let's get back to our discussion. We know that raising teens or mothering teens are not without challenges. What were the challenges you encountered while they grew up to 13, 14, 15, 16, those problematic ages, those ages that, Mom, I don't want to, maybe you call on him twice and he will answer the 3rd time, or you call on him 4 times, he will answer the last time. You know, they have it's natural, that puberty stage. How were you able to manage them?
What I did was, I'm very busy. I won't say anything that I did not do. I will talk based on my own experience. So when it's time for holiday and they're home from school, they were in different schools. At some points, when I had all 3 of them in secondary school, I had 2 in a particular school, in a private school, and I had 1 in a regimented school, Air Force school. So when they came home, I would ensure that week they come back, they have to do their take-home assignments. Like the one in the regimented school had take-home assignments that if you get back, you must first submit it. If not, you won't be admitted. So I'd make sure they sorted through their things that needed replacements, because children, they had misplaced, and the boys in particular will keep misplacing their things. They've come back with no socks, no single pair of socks, no this, no that. And my job was such that it wasn't by interest for me to run at the last minute to replace things. So first thing I would do is to do stock taking. What did you bring back and what do you need, so that when I have time I could get those things. And then sometimes, just to also let them know that the world is not as rosy as they think, I will now make them go shopping for the things that they needed, the things they didn't bring back, and they didn't tell me they didn't bring back. So once I knew They would go to the market themselves. I'll just put a call across to my customer. Those people are coming, whatever they want to, he does the listen to me. I transfer the money and I sort them out. But most times I used to get them involved in getting themselves ready, to go back to school. And then, boys are very stubborn, even my daughter. So my mom did something, used to ignore a lot of times. So growing up, when they were, causing trouble and doing a lot of things, I would just pick a novel. I read a lot. So when they're turning the house upside down, jumping up, pushing this one down, beating this one up, coming with complaints, I would just find a corner, carry my novel, balance properly, and read. I remember that there was a time that life happened and we were homeless for about some weeks, and I went to live with my pastor and his family for about 2 weeks before we moved into the hotel. There was a particular day the trouble was much, and she came in and saw me sitting in a corner reading my book, and she said, "Oduagbo, you mean these boys are fighting, they are doing this?" I said, "Mama, when they're tired, they will rest. I did not kill my mother, and they cannot kill me." So that's kind of attitude of, I don't really care what you are up to. As long as I've done what I ought to do, you've had breakfast or lunch or dinner, so it's not that you are hungry or there's no food. People will not kill me. I'll just fight. So that's part of a coping mechanism that parents need. Because if you are so interested in everything that they do, you will get a raised BP and you will die before your time. So sometimes you just need to shut down and shut out the noise and be there for yourself, by yourself, or by yourself. Just make sure that you've checked and there is nothing you should have done that you've not done, and you allow them.
Okay.
Because when they know that it's not every time they cry woof woof that you show interest, they will also know that at times they also need to just rest. Okay. So that's one recipe that will help.
Okay, at this point, Mama, there's something I want to also find out from you. You've talked about getting them involved when they were going back to school, especially when they didn't tell you the things they lost, the things they came back with, and the things they need, and you got them involved. Now, there are parents who are not very financially buoyant, to always replace as it spoils, they replace it. So what measure would you say they should adopt to also ensure that these children are not completely left out? Because I'm telling you, that's on another level. I'm not even on that your level self as I'm sitting down here. I'm not on that level. So for someone that is below your class or your level, how do they cope?
Yeah, you're funny. I don't know what level I am or that you are not on, but I don't think there's anybody that is on a level that can really afford to replace things. Everybody struggles to get those things replaced. Don't forget that it depends on the schools that they attend.
Okay.
If you attend a school where they will check, my children have all attended schools, and incidentally they've all attended the two schools they all have gone to are schools that they have a list of items and they will check you in. So if you do not have one thing, the regimented one is really bad. The private one, on face value, they can believe that you will bring the things you've not brought and give you some soft landing. But the regimented one, if it is just one item, that child is not entering the school. So when you know that without you giving every single thing, you can't take that child back to school, I don't know of any parent who will not try to find a way around it. It's not because you have all the money. The fact is that until they also discover themselves, they will continue to misplace those things. I need to point out that from JS1 to SS3, they will not always throw away their things. Like with the boys, the experience I had with 2 out of the 3 boys was that you will replace till SS1 or 2. But there's one particular one out of the 3 that never really misplaced his things. A boy that in JS1, I got his books, took it home. He was so excited. I didn't know he sat down and checked the books, knew the number of books. And then the brother came and took one of the books and put paper to write something and kept it somewhere else. It wasn't quite 30 minutes. He came to me. His book is not complete. I said, how? He said he can't find one book. I said, what's happening? And then later the brother came and said, oh, sorry, I carried it, I put paper to write on, and he gave him the book. And I looked at him, JS1. Until he left secondary school, he didn't misplace his things. He was very careful with his things. So it's not even about the gender, because the sister too went, and my experience with her too, she doesn't, throw away her things. She's very careful with her things. But the truth remains, we have children from homes who go to school and take other people's things. Now, as a mother, you don't bring back someone's book home. I see you with a book. You have your own. You have another one that has another name. You will explain how it came home with you, and you will find a way and return it to the owner. So my children know that that's another wahala point with me. So they are careful. But we have parents that children take other people's things home, and it's not a problem. But in my house, you return it, and you dare not do it next time. If it happens the first time, and I take it that it's an error, if it happens again, I'm calling you a thief. Yes, and then I tell you clearly that when you are caught with somebody's thing in school, don't call me, call your dad. That's the unspoken rule at home. Don't call me, because you'll be tempted to think I'm the one around. I won't come. Let me come to your school because you've done well, and they're calling me for, oh, you are getting an award or something very positive. But if it is in the negative, please call your father.
Okay, thank you so much. But I think let's move away to the attitudinal aspect of it, the attitude of children. This time, peer pressure is very, very much intact, and it's affecting a lot of children, not allowing them to reason the way they should reason. How were you able to tame yours, or what are those measures you put in place to ensure that they didn't go out of hand? So how were you able to checkmate their own attitude, different attitude?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if I've really done anything too special. I don't know. I think it's just God, because I have seen children from very godly homes. I had an auntie who was very godly. She used to pray and pray and pray and pray. And I remember then she would, it's now that I understand, because then I used to be perplexed. My mom was older, but she would always want to say things and make it look like we were wayward, and because she was the righteous person. And sometimes in my quiet moment I would be like, God, let this be said of me, but let it not be my reality. So coming back to my children, I was careful to tell God that these children you gave to me, I've done my best to. I have spent my time. I have shown them your way. I'm going for fellowship, I'm carrying my children. That fellowship I used to attend, they didn't have, it wasn't a child friendly. As in when you go there, just chairs for adults.
Yeah.
I would go and buy plastic chairs, small chairs, so that my children can sit, and it's not as if they're taking up space that were meant for adult people. And even then, them as tiny as they were sitting in front, boys, very restless, very, 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 and I must just thank adults who tolerated my children, because they were a handful. They were very, very restless. Growing up, I would put them in corners, because I noticed that I personally never really like staying in one place. So if I stay in a place and I sit in a place for too long, I'm very restless. So I guess they took that part from me. So what will I do to them? If they misbehaved, I would just put you in a corner. You are just there in the corner. I'll just tell you, go and stay in that place. And you stay there, and in 5-10 minutes, they're already grumbling, they're already sweating, because they're not able to do any other thing. They needed freedom to be able to do so many other things. So when they knew that that's one of the punitive measures, they would be careful not to aggravate or get me upset for me to put you in that corner. So but when they became teenagers, you would expect some sort of resistance. I used to flog my children. Even when they were teenagers, I will flog. They would try to use their hand to block the cane. I will flog you. I will beat you. Sometimes I leave the cane, use my hand until that anger, Even though people say, hey, don't flog, it is not this and that. I flogged though. Because even when I was a big girl, I was over 20, there was a day I did something, my mom actually hit me and said, even though you think you are a girl, a big woman or something. So the things we saw growing up and the way parenting is now is very, very challenging. Now they say, talk to the child, but truly there are some children that should not be spared the cane. So when you have a child who feels you keep talking and that child is not willing to change, sometimes have your cane. Don't even let them know you have that cane. Like in my room today, I stumbled on cane somewhere because I had to buy. I'll go to traffic light and buy cane. I'll hide it. They will see it, they will hide it. I will go again, buy and hide it. So I ended up having cane in places I least would. Sometimes you are checking for something else, you go and see cane that you kept and forgot. Thank God I've not had cause to use the cane in a very long while. But when I needed to flog, I flogged. And when I needed to shout, I shouted. And then I said, I'm shouting, I'm telling you, change. God knows I have tried. It won't be that I did not try. So I think the God factor has come to play, because if you say my children are excellent, then it is by the grace of God. It is purely by the grace of God, because they have friends. And another thing is that I talk to my children, I gist with them once in a while, and so they're able to tell me things. They tell me things. Sometimes they don't tell me. I'm the one going and I'm asking questions. I'm just making small conversation, and the things you will get from it. So how did I get to that point? Attending events in their schools. So when we are coming back home, we are talking. Until my friend now gave me my friend had a nanny and a driver. And then in the last years, they would always help me pick them up from school. So I was only dropping them in school and not picking them up when they were in nursery school. Then when they got to secondary school, when it's holiday time like this, I may not be home all the time. So I will look for something, a skill for them to learn. Maybe they'll go and do coding, or they'll do one thing or the other, engage them in holiday activities. But I'm also mindful that some places that children have been abused is from those kind of settings. Yeah. So I made them learn how to play a musical instrument. Like my daughter, there was a time I enrolled her and she was going there on Saturdays, only for me to discover that she was the only one. After like some weeks, I was talking with her one day. She now told me that she's the only one in the class and her instructor is a guy. So I called the owner of that holiday arrangement, and I found out that some parents will do their children, they couldn't afford it, and I told her that's an information you could have given me, because this is a girl and I cannot expose my child to a lesson that it's a guy that is teaching her this instrument and she's the only one that is teaching. There are no other people. So people come early and then maybe we'll leave for one thing or the other. And so I asked certain questions and I knew nothing untoward had happened, and I quietly withdrew my child and said she shouldn't do it anymore. So parents need to be, mothers need to be very intentional. You do not expose your treasured children and expect that everything will go out well. Children have been abused by other children apart from adults.
Yes.
So this is holiday period. People need to be careful where they send their children to. If it is not in a public space where there are other people, please do not expose your children. Even this getting people to come home to teach your children, and it is just your child or your children and the person.
Teacher.
A lot of things can go wrong. A lot of things. So parents need to be very, very sensitive too. You need to be sensitive and build yourself up spiritually, that if something is about to go wrong or is going wrong, the Holy Spirit gives you a lead. Sometimes we have the voice, all of us have it, that speaks to us, but sometimes we ignore it because it's not loud. We have that feeling, we shrug it off. Listen to it more. I've learned to listen to my intuition. I've learned to listen to the Holy Spirit. Sometimes He tells me things as unimaginable as they come. But if I just follow the leading and I check, there is something I should be worried about. And you are able to nip whatever it is in the bud. But where you do not pray, where you do not teach your children how to pray, you do not encourage them to pray, you discover that the teenage period is the period that they need to have had a very strong foundation in whatever it is that they needed to know, be it knowing God for themselves, be it knowing what is proper and what is not, what is right and what is wrong.
You know that this time that people are complaining of lesbianism, homosexuality and all of that, and the young boys, you see them 14, 13, they're already looking for girls too, very small, at like 12. Like the other day I saw a 12-year-old girl giving birth. So how do you control your children so that they are not sexually sensitive at a stage they are not supposed to be sexually sensitive? And at what age do you allow them freedom to maybe interact deeply with an opposite sex?
When one of my sons was just, I think, 7, a girl in his class wrote him a love note in nursery school, and it was a friend's daughter. I saw this thing in his bag and I carried it. Some months ago I was doing something, I stumbled on it and I was laughing. So it's not even about being even a teenager. You know, it starts even earlier in primary school. A lot of things are happening. Girls are falling in love with boys. So that is where having the right conversations come in. Because I stylishly tell my children, I don't think it's proper to tell them not to have friends of the opposite sex. Because if they are encouraged to be normal, there's no child that came to the world corrupt. There are things that corrupt our children. None of them, they come with some sort of innocence. They're innocent when they're born. It is corruption. It is corrupt behaviors and practices that spoil them. So where our children's school matter. I tell people beyond the race matters. Or so person's child is here. I personally have had a phobia for allowing my children to relate with children from certain homes. Because they say a child carried gun and went to school. Where did the child see the gun? They say somebody carried a knife and stabbed the stepfather. Where did he get the knife from? Sometimes if you check, that dagger that was used to stab the man was the man's dagger. Because where would the child have gotten the dagger from to stab? So the things the children see adults do sometimes leads to the children growing up too early. Growing up to know the things that are bigger than them. So it all boils down to intentional parenting and mothering. Preparing your children for the world and not waiting for the world to teach them what you as a parent should have taught. I didn't always know the things that I know now. There are things I know now that if I had known earlier, perhaps some things that raised their heads and the things that I saw may not have happened. But now I'm quick to tell people that we need to start early to have conversations with our children. There's a little girl that was molested in a private school here in Uyo. The mom said the child told her that it was a teacher that molested her. A little girl of 3 years. And I was happy that she had, started early enough to talk to her daughter. And the daughter was able to communicate. Now, there are 5-year-olds who have been abused that cannot say who has done it. Will not say. But this is a 3-year-old. So someone started early to have conversations with the child. And these conversations are not you coming to sit the child down. It's when you are bathing the child at the place of play, at the place of eating. Little seemingly harmless activities. you are putting in those little conversations. And when you have an opportunity to gist with your child, let it not be like you're bringing that child to like a judge or a jury. Because if you do it like you're already being judgmental, and you tell the child, yeah, sit down, let us talk, and you start so talking in a hard manner, like that child won't tell you anything. If there's anything you should hear, the child closes up. And then how you react to things. Sometimes they give you an information. In your heart, you've died a million times, so. But you must not show the child that that thing is that serious and that grave, that you want to kill somebody, because that child closes up. And once the child closes up, you won't get anything again from that child. So yes, peer pressure will come. I just believe that you should allow your children. You've done your bit as a parent. You have cared for them. You've told them the world is not easy. They know. You allow them. My children bring their friends home. Their friends come home. Most times, like this holiday now, you get home, even now that they are adults, they are no more like those children. I just have one teenager left. The others are older. The last boy is going to be 22 tomorrow. So the adults, I'm used to going home and meeting a large following of children playing ball in my compound. Some I know their parents, some I do not know their parents. I'm used to people telling me, my son was in your place the other day, or my child said, I went to my friend's house and the father said I should greet you. I said, which of your friends again? And some of them I just discover that, this and that. The way these children connect, and with the internet, some of them are not schooling in the same school with my children, but have siblings who schooled with them. And so the way people are connecting, just like we adults are networking, all we do is, I tell my children, son of man, know thyself. Once I start like that, they know where I'm going to. Be true to yourself. Be true to yourself. And you are responsible for the choices you make. And there are things they tell me. Sometimes when I'm not with them and I'm alone, I'll say, God, help me. Because if you are not strong-willed, there are things these children will do. You won't be with them all the time. So be that kind of mother that your child knows that he or she can tell you anything, no matter how horrible. Because we are all human. So when they understand that, yes, they can make mistakes. It's okay to make a mistake. It's okay to fail. But you can actually rewrite your story. You can rise above whatever it is, because at the end of the day, you carried your 2 legs and walked into whatever situation. And so when you have gone in there and come out and known, man, I didn't do well. Now what's the next thing? You rewrite your story. So if you mess up and you are in trouble and the world gets to know you made your choice, I will not make excuses for you. I will just take it that that's what you wanted for yourself. I will respect your choice and I will live on with my life. Because parents that get to a point that anything the child does affects them, I tell them, you've not started. You will just die. They will bury you, and the child continues with the choices that he or she has made. So as parents, we need to get to the point, of mothers, get to the point that you do your best. Like now, my wahala is not even with those 20-something-year-olds again. I just have one 15-year-old now, and I can't wait for her to grow up so that I can continue with my life, because God has helped me.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, actually, I know God has helped you. One striking thing you have said there is, it is okay for you to make a mistake as a child, but you don't have to remain in that mess. You have to get up, you pick yourself up, you recreate your story, you rewrite your story. That was a very striking point. At this point, we take our break, and when we return, we conclude this conversation. Don't go away.
Imagine a world where every woman's voice is heard, every story is told, and she is empowered. Think of a world where women rise above challenges, shattered glass ceilings, and inspire generations. Welcome to Her Voice, Her Strength, where we celebrate the unbreakable spirits of women. Join us as we share stories of resilience, courage, and triumph. Hear from women who are changing the world, one voice at a time. Together we shall amplify conversations that shape our lives and empower each of us to being our best selves. Don't miss Her Voice, Her Strength on NTA Channel 12 Uyo, on Facebook and on YouTube every Saturday by 5:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. Join the movement. Amplify her voice.
Welcome back to Her Voice of Strength, showing on NTA Channel 12 Uyo, and Mrs. Oduarekon, who is the CPS to Her Excellency Helen Obareke, is my guest today, and we've been talking on how to raise teens that will make our society better, mothering teens. She is a mother, she is a wife, she is a journalist, she is a broadcaster, she's many faces and of leadership, and I think she is the right person to handle this segment as you have followed so far. And then to Mrs. Oduarekon, as we continue and conclude this discussion this evening, let's look at the era that we are, the technological era, where everything is done online, so much technology, and sometimes we don't really follow very fast like our children. They are somehow ahead of us in these technological innovations that are coming. So at this point, how do you still control? How do you still feel that you can just put those checks and balances here and there to ensure that they don't blow out, they don't do the other things that are so weird or so uncalled for or unheard of children? How do you do it? Because whether you like it or not, social media is real, and these children see. Is it nude you're talking about? Is it what do you want us to talk about? They know these things even as young and as small as they are, provided they are exposed to the internet in their homes, so they know these things. So how do we still control them and still make them those godly children that we would desire to have?
Control at this point is I don't know how that would even work. How do you control adults? Because teenagers are almost people who are almost turning into adults. Okay, like I told you, I have a 15-year-old daughter. She has a phone. She's on TikTok. She's on okay, I've not seen her on Facebook yet. She's on TikTok. The brothers are on Instagram. Their Facebook account, nothing is happening. I am not on TikTok, but once in a while I just try to see what's happening. So for parents or mothers of teenagers, you may just need to follow your children. Follow them. On Instagram, I check once in a while. I'll just check what they're posting, what they're engaging in. I see things. Sometimes I'll just go comment. I just comment so that they know I'm there. On Facebook, I'm there. I'm everywhere. I'm even trying to get them now. What I want to do is to get them to LinkedIn, because that's where a lot of things are happening. That's where positives are coming. Akwa Ibom, we are a Facebook community, but my children are not really Facebook inclined. Yes, because their generation do X, that's Twitter, and do Instagram, and do TikTok, and do Snapchat. So a mother in a world that is growing, the demands are increasing every day. You just need to be tech savvy and be everywhere, not necessarily for yourself, but you are just like a monitoring spirit on those platforms, so that you see what it is that they're doing, you see what they engage in. But above all, I think mothers should intentionally talk with their children from time to time, because when they're going through things, they'll be able to tell you. Where they don't tell you and they take those decisions on their own, then you cannot really blame them for the wrong decisions that they make. Because if you are not involved, it's not when they were children you just dump them in school and go home and think that the school should do it. You don't attend PTA meetings. You don't even, like my children's school, the regimented one, you can go enter the class. A lot of parents don't do it. Some will go to the school. They don't enter the class, they don't attend PTA meeting. All they're going for is to give their children food. And I'm looking at them because I think it is odd For me, the most important is the class engagement, where you get to see their test scores, you engage with their teachers and know if the subject you should be concerned about, and you see the subject teachers and know exactly where to help the child. So where you do not invest your time, you discover that a lot of things will go wrong. So I still maintain that whether it is about, and then expose your children to skills, because the way the world is going, entrepreneurship is the one that will set me apart from you. So what are you able to do? What can you do? What skills do you have? Those are the things that make you stand out from the next person. So now that the holidays are here and going forward, any opportunity to get your child learn a skill, those skills take you far, take you very, very far. So when they're also gainfully engaged and they have things that they use and they make money, you discover that money is what people use to trap children, no matter how old they are or how young. Most times people do things because of what they think they can gain. But if you the child knows that he or she can get this either from their skills or that the parent is able to provide. I know that children that are greedy, no matter what you give them, is not enough. They still would want to have what the other person is having. I tell my children that I'm satisfied with what I have. I'm not hung up on changing my jewelries and stuff. I'm just content with one thing at a time. I'm not flamboyant, and I'm not interested in a lot of vain things, because my mom would say all is vanity, and truly all is vanity.
The Bible says so.
The Bible says so, and my mom echoed it, and I picked that, and that has been my mantra, all is vanity. So you won't see me indulge in things that take time and add no value. So I tried to pass that on to my children, and a lot of them agree with me that all is vanity. So I'm fine. So we need to have mothers. It all starts and ends with mothers, because if you do not mother your child properly, the society will. There are a lot of artificial mothers outside waiting, and sometimes their target is not even to see that child succeed. It is just to destroy. Sometimes someone has a personal beef with you, and the best way to assuage whatever it is to get even by destroying your child. So they could use a fellow child, they could use so many ways. So at the end of the day, one word that I would like to leave with our viewers is that they should be very intentional in looking out for the children that God gave to them, because at the end of the day, we are caregivers, and we will be asked to give an account of what we did with those gifts, those destinies that were put in our hands. And if we did well, we will get our rewards. But if we didn't do well, I don't know.
All right, thank you so much, Mrs. Odoikon. But let me leave this teaser with you before we call it a wrap on the show this afternoon or this evening. Your child, let's just assume you have a child or a teenage girl or boy who has maybe involved himself or herself in sexual immorality, and it has come that the person is pregnant, or your son has impregnated someone, and the child comes back home and is afraid because he remembers mommy has warned me several times not to do this, not to do that. Now I have done it. Mommy, what would you do to that child? Or what would be your reaction, and what will you do to help the child to still continue to live?
A teaser or a question that I should answer?
Yes.
Okay, so the child is here. The child is going to have a child, because I belong to the school of thoughts that would not go to do something I know I shouldn't do. So the mistake has been made. That child has to deliver that baby. Provide support. The baby is born, and the young girl goes back to school.
Under your care?
A lot of things can happen, but first, what is needed at that immediate time is support.
Okay.
Because where you do not give the support that is needed, you will lose a life, and you'll be responsible for that life that is lost.
All right, thank you so much. That was so intelligent of you. I just had to throw that to hear what you will say, and it balances everything that you have said so far, which means you have not faked anything, and everything is just natural, and it's just natural. Thank you so much, Mrs. Oduagekon, for being my guest on the show today. I would say God bless you.
God bless you too.
Amen. Thank you so much, viewer. And that's how we wrap up today's episode of the program Her Voice Her Strength on channel NTA channel 12 Uyo. Until we come your way again, same time, same station, I remain your host and anchor, Dora Okobasi. Don't forget that the future of the child is also in your hand. So it depends on how you take care of your child. He or she will emerge a winner, a success, and it depends on how you train your child too. The child will bring shame to you. So you choose where you belong. It's bye for now.